Hey yoke, what is going on with my people, the Chico Army, and if you're new around these parts, a viewer of the tube. My name is Tyler, the host of the crypto channel that knows when you get famous, you can't just become a total creep, unlike Chris D'Elia.
But hold on a second. How did it come out? Like, how did they...
The boy's mother ended up finding it.
Finding it? What do you mean? It doesn't, Snapchat goes away, right? How they...
He probably saved it. You can screen record, take screenshots.
You know how we don't snap DPs. It's time for Chico Crypto. So, the new way to make those gains in the crypto markets. I'm sure you have heard about it, seen some of the memes on the crypto subreddits or on crypto Twitter. What am I talking about? Yield farming to maximize your crypto ROI. Now, one of the most popular memes is this one, which does a good job of explaining yield farming crypto. You have the Virgin Trader versus the Chad yield farmer. Virgin Trader does single swaps, looks for moon coins, uses centralized exchanges, and buys their exchange tokens while watching charts all day and trading BTC/USD. While the Chad yield farmer is looking for healthy APRs, does multiple token swaps in a single transaction, uses DEXs, earns governance tokens, plants tokens, and farms with wBTC. We ain't using Tether here on Chico. So basically, a yield farmer is someone who is knowledgeable about DeFi. You have to be to understand DEXs, token swaps, collateral, dApps, and more. And they use that knowledge to turn DeFi into a return on investment maximizing machine. So I'm not going to recommend to any of you to try and dive into the world of yield farming if you are a newbie. You should learn about all of the DeFi Legos first, which my channel has a ton of content on. Stablecoins, DEXs, token sets, and more. I have made a DeFi playlist going through all of my old videos for you guys. So check out that playlist first, read from other sources, and understand before trying to become a Chad. So first things first, Compound. We have to talk about their new token and the model, as they were the spark which kicked off this yield farming craze. Compound over the past 5 days has been moving up, down, and all around, peaking above $370 per for some time and putting its market cap above $1 billion. But since it has come back down, touching $230 before bouncing back and pushing back up to $260. And now the market cap is around $630 million. Now I know the Coinbase Pro listing, all of that has to do something with this pump, but Compound's token governance and issuance is something special, and that kicked off the craze in the space, pushing Compound to the #1 DeFi protocol on DeFi Pulse, dethroning Maker, so we have to understand it. Out of the 10 million created comp tokens, nearly 4.3 million of them are reserved for something called liquidity mining. So kind of like how Bitcoins are mined and new coins are created, Compound will be issuing new comp tokens to those who contribute liquidity to the protocol. Right now, about 3,000 comp tokens are issued every day at a rate of about 0.5 comp per Ethereum block. The emission and reward is split about 50-50 to each functional pool of Compound, the supplier pool and the borrower pool. The emission will go on for about the next 4 years. So right now there is a massive incentive to use Compound to supply and borrow, of which you earn comp governance tokens for, which are still in price discovery mode. Why do you think the total value in Compound went ballistic, over 6xing in the span of a few days? And then going to Compound's website, we can see out of this value locked up, it's split between a supply and borrow pool, of which the supply side is much larger than the borrow side, with many more individual suppliers than borrowers. Over 7 times more suppliers than borrowers actually. Now remember, Compound's comp tokens, reward is split 50-50 between the two sides, thus borrowing on Compound, you have the ability to get a much higher percentage of the liquidity mining rewards. Split between over 26,000 people or split between just over 3,500. I would take the latter on the borrow side, which I have been doing, but today we're gonna do the supply side. So let's get into it. What we can do with a Chico version of yield farming, a very basic one. Well, we want to earn those sweet compound tokens. And to do this, you can't just supply or borrow tokens that aren't being used much in the protocol. If you want to receive a bulk of the rewards, you have to be in the hot tokens. So going to compound stats, we can see the highest percentages on both the supply and borrow APYs. They are basic attention token, ZRX, and wrapped Bitcoin. These are where the higher percentages of comp tokens are being paid out. So our first step in yield farming, will it be to start at compound? Nope, we go to the DeFi Lego container and pick out the best piece for ROI, which we can see from DeFi Rate, which puts together all the protocols and their supply and borrow APYs together in one place. Aave, we can borrow wBTC for just 7.18%. Then changing to supply APYs, we can see that there is 16.99% APY for lending it on compound. So let's do it. Let's borrow wBTC from Aave. To borrow on Aave, you need to put down some collateral. And the collateral we want to put down is something that is getting a healthy APY on that platform, and it stays stable. We will choose DAI as it's getting a great 3.84% APY. We are just going to do a small amount, for example, just over 82 DAI, and once deposited into Aave, you need to make sure that the collateral slider is slid over to green. The next step is to go to the borrow section, and here's a pure example of how crazy these yield farming protocols are. So I was preparing this video and the script, and I was able to get my stable APR with Aave by borrowing wBTC at 11.98% stable APR. I submitted the transaction, and literally right after I submitted, the APRs jumped, both variable and stable. As we can see, stable jumped from that 11.98% up to 38.14%, and variable jumped from the 7.18% to 28.94%. Now when I submitted my transaction, I had a choice of variable or stable, and I knew this crazy stuff was going to happen, so I went with the stable one, even though the rate was higher, nearly 4% than variable. But if I chose a variable one, my low rate of 11.98% would not have been locked, and I would have jumped with the variable rate jumping. Whew, timing. So we have borrowed wBTC on Aave. I put down $82 in DAI and was able to get, as we can see, 0.00634 wBTC with a locked-in borrow rate of 11.98%. Now it's time to go lend that wBTC, where we can get the best returns, and DeFi Rate told us that was compound right now, so let's go there. As we can see, our borrowed wBTC is there. The rate has dipped a bit to 16.33%, but that is still above our borrow of 11.98% on Aave. So let's click on it, and first we need to enable. I'll do that. Once confirmed, we need to supply, and we'll do that by clicking on max, and it puts our whole balance up for supply, which I want to do. Then clicking supply, we need to wait for the transaction to confirm. And once confirmed, it will just take you back to the home screen. We can just go back to the dashboard to see our supply balance with our wrapped Bitcoin, the 0.0063 earning 16.33% APY. And we are also earning compound tokens. And there is a great tool out there to see how much you earn for supplying and borrowing on compound from Predictions Exchange, which I left the link for in the description below. But if we put in our 0.006, we must round down with this and then enter calculate, we can see how much we could earn from that 0.006 of a wBTC. Over a year, you would earn 0.07 comp and $9.43 in interest at the current rates, which is a net APY of 52.12%. Of course, that is just for a small amount of wBTC, but what if we had supplied them an entire one, a whole wBTC? That comp, it jumps up massively. The interest earned jumps up massively, and the APY jumps up. But remember, we also use DAI. We supplied that to borrow wBTC on Aave, and we are earning interest from that supply. Since doing the video, it has dropped to 3.72%, but that is okay. We can see the balance growth in real time on the Aave platform. But remember, we are also borrowing the wBTC at a rate of 11.98%, so you could actually take what we're earning from the DAI, 3.72%, and minus that from your borrow. And we are actually borrowing the wBTC at 8.26%, and then lending on Compound at 16.33% APY, making about 8%. But if the rate dips on Compound and goes below the 8.26% level, I need to get out because this farming technique wouldn't make any sense, which you can do at any time on all of the platforms. You are in control of your loans, your collateral. There is not a wait. You can do it in an instance. You get why they call this yield farming now? Things rapidly change and you have to be on the ball. I'm sure today the rates are much different all around. That is just a high level look, and I want to provide the Chico Army the best content possible. So let's go deeper, but I'm not gonna do it. So you have to know about InstaDapp, a very powerful and since Compound's launch surging DeFi tool. They have their own Compound Finance section, which includes maximizing your Compound position by folding Forex, which I could explain, but another great YouTuber, DeFi Dad, has already covered thoroughly on what to do. That video is in the description too if you want to check it out. So the complexities of yield farming go beyond just what we have talked about. Chainlink God on Twitter put out this tweet. Whew, DeFi yield farming is addictive. Deposit link to Aave. Use collateral to borrow wBTC. Deposit wBTC to Curve Finance. Receive Curve REN wSBTC liquidity pool token, which is 36% REN BTC, 25% wBTC, and 39% SBTC. Stake pool token on synthetic.io. And thus he is farming synthetics, REN, Balance, and Curve Finance's token. Wow, wow, wee, what is all Chico has to say. Now, this isn't a free lunch. You have to be knowledgeable, you have to research, and you have to take risks. Each and every single one of these dApps and protocols have risks associated, since most are run with the Solidity language, and thus they are Turing complete and have attack vectors. That is why, like everything in crypto, you never risk more than you can afford to lose, and that goes with yield farming. But the question this all comes down to is, are you a Chad or are you a Chode? Cheers, I'll see you next time.